if you are an HBCU fan, someone you will certainly recognize as a true HBCU legend. But with no further ado, I'll let my co-host, Johnny Cole, give him his proper introduction.
Thank you, Rocky. First of all, I want to dedicate this show to my oldest brother who passed away, and we laid him down yesterday. So I want to dedicate this show to him. But one reason why, and I always tell you guys how I started this show, is because we've always had greatness in this conference. Unfortunately, our greatness don't get recognized like the guys at PWI, and the guy that we bringing on is no different than a Lou Holtz or Bobby Bowen or Nick Saban. That's what he is to me. That's what he is to a lot of us. I can't even tell you how many people that came under him, but we'll say some greats like Coach Gibbs at Fort Valley, Trey Oliver, Coach Washington, Pete Richardson. It goes on and on. So without no further ado, my friend, my idol, my mentor, Coach Bill Hayes.
Hey, Johnny, how's it going down there?
It's great, Coach, man. And I'm just glad I was able to reach out to you. And we had a connection. And Sherman Simmons, who is a great friend of mine, actually caught you at the right time because a lot of great things are happening to you and happening for you. So we could kind of start out, Coach, what's going on with you in your life and how you've been since you left the sidelines.
Well, I tell you, John, I've been working really hard to raise money for HBCUs in this area. I have the Carlin and Bill Hayes Foundation, and what I've been doing is we have this 2 or 3 events during the year, one big golf tournament, and bring all the ACC coaches in and all the MEAC and CIAA coaches in. We try to raise a couple $100,000 and just get the money back to the HBCUs. We give money to A&T. We give money right directly back to Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville, John C. Smith, Elizabeth City, and NCCU for sure. And what it does, I remember, Johnny, we never had enough of anything. We always had our hand out begging. In fact, we worked so hard Monday through Friday trying to figure out how we're going to get to the game, trying to get a bus and trying to do this and get hotel rooms and get meals for the kids. It was so hard. The struggle was so great trying to get to the game. So to get there was a victory to get to the game. And, of course, if you won, that was a blessing.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I know you went up against some of the greats. I had opportunity with my brother to go up against you, and unfortunately, you stood tall. Kind of tell us, Coach, again, this is a very important because I'm going to say this. Deion Sanders did great for our conference. He brought some light to it. But some of the things that people didn't know about HBCU football is that we've always had greats, always had great athletes. And when he comes out and says things, or I'm not, and I shouldn't say he, but people who don't know about HBCUs are saying, oh, well, this happened for the first time. Oh, he's great. He makes the kids go to class. And all that's good, Coach. Don't get me wrong. But it's guys like you who laid the foundation, who made me want to be HBCU coach. Trey Oliver want to be Coach Gibbs, Broadway, Washington, kind of tell us, Coach, how you started off.
And half those guys that you named, Johnny, I trained.
Yeah, well, Coach, I know that.
Yeah, Sam Washington and all those guys, they cut their teeth sitting at my feet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, I'm real proud of what we've been able to do. I'm an HBCU guy, graduated from North Carolina College, then North Carolina Central now, and played center and middle linebacker, All-American 3 times at both sides of the ball. And I had a great career and went on to, I never forget how good my coaches were. Coach Herman Riddick was my college football coach, and George Quiet. Those are 2 legendary coaches in HBCU football. And I never forget George Quiet and those guys when I got my first coaching job up in Virginia, a little town outside of Danville. they gave me you had to wear a suit and tie, necktie to school back then. If you taught physical education, you changed over into your PE uniform. But when you came back into the main building, you had to have on a suit and tie. Those coaches took care of me and taught me the right way to get things done, Johnny. And I'll never forget them. I've been down that road. I integrated the ACC. I was the first black coach east of the Mississippi, coaching at a Division I school. And the crazy thing, I never forget, I used to go to the American Football Coaches Association meeting. Johnny, you and I used to hang out there, but the guys used to say, hey, man, that guy coaches a position. Because a lot of the guys black guys back in the day, they were recruiters for predominantly white schools, but they didn't coach. They just recruited. But I was fortunate enough to be an offensive line coach and in Division I. And so it was amazing to me that guys would coach football and not coach and just be recruiters. And I did my share of recruiting too, because we had some great ones. When I think back over my years, John, I probably had over 150 guys sign a pro contract over my tenure. I stopped counting
Coach,
150.
I want you to keep going, but I want to just cut right there. Let our people who's watching the show know, Coach, Jess was in what, the 70s and 80s?
Yeah, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah. It wasn't really long ago. You know what I mean? But
that's right.
Go ahead, Coach. I just want to let them know.
I'd also like to, Coach Hayes, I'd like to step in here and let everybody know who's listening on the radio on CBS Sports 1. You also can listen on the app at Syntex Sports 1 on the Apple Place at the Apple and Google Play Store. We have a very successful HBCU head coach and coaching legend, Bill Hayes, and we're so happy to have him with us today. Coach Cole, I know you're about to ask him a question. You can go ahead and go, but I wanted to let our listeners know who exactly they were listening to at this time. The legendary HBCU coach, Coach Bill Hayes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rocky.
I just want to keep the timing of it. The reason why that we've had great coaches, but that didn't get overlooked. But go ahead, Coach. You were going from you just integrated to ACC and first black coach in the ACC. And you go back from there, Coach.
Well, I think about, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we buried Bishop Harris. Bishop was the second black coach in the Atlantic Coast Conference at Duke University. And then Clemson hired a guy named Bill Swinger about 2 months after Wake Forest hired me. So it was me the first guy. And then, of course, when Duke hired Bishop Harris, he was number 2. And then Bill Swinger at Clemson. And then after that, a lot of predominantly white schools in the South started hiring black coaches. But, I was the pioneer. I was the guy that started it all. But you know what, John? I always act like I was supposed to be there. I learned that early on that you ain't nobody doing me no favor. I'm supposed to be where I am, and I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna carry myself like I'm supposed to be there, and like I'm the best of the best. And I believed I was. I never doubted my ability in terms of coaching with other guys race different from mine. So I'm gonna outwork them. I'm gonna out recruit them. I'm gonna out coach them. I'm gonna get it done for you, and that was my attitude.
Now, Coach, even now today in the mindset, I know my brother coached PWIs, and all of a sudden he was just tired of being an assistant coach. And the opportunity, back then when you had the opportunity to jump back in the HBCU, what was your thinking? Was you saying, man, I'm tired of being an assistant head coach, I want to be able to run my own show, or how did that work out?
It wasn't like that. Actually, you all remember the legendary Big House Gaines. Well, I was coaching O-line at Wake Forest University, and I looked up one day and saw this big guy, Big House Gaines, watching me coach. And after the practice, he came over. He said, Bill, I need you to come over and talk to my people. He said, we got to hire a football coach, and those folks don't have a clue about what it takes to coach college football. So he said, if you would come over on Tuesday night and talk to the committee about what we need to be hiring to coach. So I go over and I talk to him. I got on a checkered shirt and kind of relaxed. I go over and talk to these folks, and toward the end of my conversation, this lady said, well, Coach, you know, you at Wake Forest University. I just want to know, why would you want to coach at Winston-Salem State? I said, hold on a minute. First of all, I never said I wanted to coach at Winston-Salem State. I'm coaching at Wake Forest. I'm doing a good job. You know, they paying me well. You know, they gave me a house and a car. You know, I never said I. So long story short, a few days later, Big House Gaines came to my house and said, Bill, those folk want you to be the football coach, which I thought was crazy. I said, you must be out of his mind. But, you know, I got to thinking about something, Johnny. It was 1976, and I'm saying, when are things going to change? When am I going to have a chance to be a head coach? You know, I could take this job at this school and they don't have a clue about what it takes to coach, to win a football game. Or I can sit around here in this PWI and it might be 10 years, it might be 50, it might be, when is it going to change? When are these folk going to give black folk a chance to be the head? I want to be the head coach. And so I thought about that thing, you know, I got to take a pay cut to go over there and coach. But I had this burning desire to be a head football coach. And I just felt so strongly about my ability that I thought I could get it done literally with nothing. Right. So, but the thing that made me do what I did, and the absolute only reason that I decided to go to Winston-Salem State and be the head coach, I went in, I was going to use it to get a raise at Wake Forest. So I went to the head coach. He said, well, Bill, you know, we want to give you some more money, but you got to go up and talk to the athletic director. And then, because we really want to keep you here. So I go up and talk to the AD, and he said, yeah, well, we're going to give you a nice raise, coach. You don't have to worry about that, blah, blah, blah. Then he said, you know what, Bill? No matter who we hire going forward as the head coach, you always going to have a job. You always going to be one of our top assistant coaches. I'm saying, wait a minute, don't this guy realize I want to be the head coach? And that right there told me that they had no inclination about making me the head coach. And I said, it's time for me to get out of here if I want to be a head coach, because I have no idea whether it's going to be 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, if they're ever going to hire a black man to be the head coach. So I went to HBCU at Winston-Salem State, and yeah, they had won one game in the last 2 years. And I go in there, man, and we won 4 games my first year. And then the next 2 years, we went undefeated. We were 30-2 over the next. Yeah. We got it done real fast.
Well, Coach, man, I love it, Coach.
Hey, Coach, let me. I just want to put a Coach. Hey, I just got to put a point of clarification of what he said. How long would it take? 10 years, 20 years? And I want to make a point, because it took literally almost 20 years for Jim Caldwell to become the first head coach at actually Wake Forest in 1993. So think about what the through line from 1976 all the way to 1993. And for you young folks, that's the same Jim Caldwell that coached the Colts, that took them to a Super Bowl, coached the Detroit Lions. So I want you to understand what the start, the genesis to the end. So, Coach, I just wanted to put that in there because you made such a point that it literally did take 20 years for people to see at your school that started, which, give Wake Forest a lot of credit for breaking those barriers that they did. They broke the barrier with you and also broke the barrier with Coach Caldwell. So I just wanted to put that out there, Coach.
Yeah, well, great.
Go ahead, Coach.
Johnny, the beautiful thing, when I was at Wake Forest and they would send me on these assignments, I never forget, the head coach called me in one day. He said, Bill, I got a speaking engagement down in Raleigh at the Raleigh Country Club on Tuesday night, and I can't make it. So I want you to go down there and talk to those folk in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I said, hey, Coach, don't you realize the Raleigh Country Club is segregated? I can't go to the Raleigh. He said, BS, you go, you be there at 6 o'clock and you speak. Now, if they don't want you to speak, then you come on back home and that's on them. But you go down there with all intentions to speak. And I went down, had a great time. Never had a problem. You know why? Because I act like I was supposed to be there. I act like I knew what I was doing. I knew I had it covered. Wow. And so, I used that same approach when I went down to Mississippi State back in the 70s and the Clemson. No black man had never been in those arenas in the capacity that I went in there as. So going to all those major schools that we played in the South, and going to those facilities, and those cooks and maids and butlers that worked there, they were amazed and astonished that I was doing what I was doing. And I had to carry myself at a certain level to make them proud, and they took care of me. It was a lot of fun.
Even today, Coach, I'm gonna keep on letting you go because and your story is falling right in line of why I started this story this line about even today, Coach. 75-80% of football coaches in the PWIs are white. So has it changed? Yes, but has it changed where it should be? No, and we're nowhere near that. And when you now, Coach, what's happening, and I don't know how much you've been keeping up with it, is now our people are looking for black coaches from PWI schools. They won't give jobs to HBCU guys who don't came up. And you, of course, you just said, man, Coach, you don't name 7-8 guys that have came under me that that can coach football. So as a young guy coming out, this is frustrating. What is your take on that when you hear that and where you are now? And of course, you've seen it from the beginning to now, and it really still haven't changed. And it's even getting worse on HBCU guys. So I was just sharing that information with
you. Well, Johnny, I didn't come through that era. I had, when guys like Pete Richardson came and we worked together, and he was my defensive coordinator, and I had a lot of great, Rod Broadway, I had a lot of great ones. Gibbs down at Fort Valley, his daddy, and I had all those guys, and the Timmy Newsons of the world, and they all came through. So, I just don't understand why or what would make a person think that a man of color from an HBCU couldn't get it done, because I don't see anything like that at all. So I can't speak about that, because that was beyond me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But go ahead, Coach.
I think about the Ken Rileys of the world. Those are my guys. The Joe Taylors of the world. Those guys can coach ball.
Yeah. So, Coach, you being the first black guy at Wake Forest, you take over at Winston-Salem, and then you kind of jump around a little bit. Tell us about that.
Well, I did 12 years, and in that 12 years, I wanted to have my own money, to have to recruit. Back then, they didn't give you a budget. You had to coach by the week. So if you won this week, they'll give you enough money to go to the next week. And after a while, after 12 years, that can get old. So I had a chance to go and coach at North Carolina A&T, and the facilities were a little bit better, and the money was a little bit greater, and it was the student. I think we probably had like 9,000-10,000 students, and so the stadium was a little bit bigger. So I thought it was an opportunity to have a better opportunity to advance my career and a better opportunity to coach on a higher level. And so I went over, and surprisingly though, when I got there, I found out it might have been in worse shape than what I had just left. But I had so much pride and so much self-determination, I wasn't about to fail. So I think 2 years after I took the job, we won the MEAC championship in 1990 and 1991. So, but A&T is a great place, and still, but now they are in a different arena now, because now they're in the CAA, and I don't quite understand that, so I better not comment on it.
Now, Coach Hayes, I have my name. This is Rocky, and I have a question for you, Coach. When you integrated the coaching ranks in the ACC, right?
Yeah.
What were the conversations like about what players you could bring on the program? How many black players could you bring into the program? Like, what were the conversations like, and what kind of limitations did you have?
Do you remember? You don't remember. You're too young. But there was a great guy from the University of Tennessee by the name of Beatty Feathers. He was a great All-American football player. He was on our coaching staff at Wake Forest. And I'll never forget, we had a staff meeting, And so Beatty says to Coach Chuck Mills, who's deceased now, he says, Chuck, there are a lot of great black athletes down in the eastern part of the state of North Carolina. Why don't you send Bill down there to get them? And I never forget, Chuck Mills said, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I signed you to Eastern North Carolina. I thought that was, Bill's got Virginia, all of Virginia, and Western Carolina. So what are you telling me? You telling me you're not going to recruit kids in your area? Thank God I was blessed to have a head coach in Chuck Mills that didn't play that mess. Mm-hmm. See, I recruited all kind of, I coached white boys on the O-line. That's what I coached. I didn't have many black athletes on my O-line. I had white boys on the O-line, big old white boys that I coached. I recruited all over North Carolina, recruited a lot of white kids and black kids. It didn't matter. I coached men. I don't coach skin. I don't coach skin at all. I coach men. And so thank God I was blessed to have Coach Chuck Mills as the head coach at Wake Forest University when I took the job, and he didn't play that at all. He was way different from most people that I came in contact with. In fact, he was frightening to me sometimes being born in the South. I'll never forget, there's a guy that you guys may remember named Clark Gaines. Clark Gaines was a great running back. And I was recruiting on Clark, and so Clark said, well, Coach, Chuck Mills said, Bill, when you going to sign Clark? I said, well, okay, Coach, I go up there, go to junior college, and Clark, it's time, I've been with you now for a year. It's time for you to sign, blah, blah. He said, well, Coach, I got to bring Kathy with me. Whoa. Kathy didn't look like us. Kathy was a white girl. So I said, well, now, is Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Wake Forest University ready for Clark and Kathy in the dorm? So I go back, and Chuck Mills says, Bill, did you get Clark signed? I said, Coach, we got to talk about that. Talk about what? I said, well, he wants to bring Kathy with him. I said, Kathy's a little white girl, Coach. Now, he said, well, what the hell are you talking about? You go up there tomorrow and you get him signed and bring Kathy with him. That was Chuck Mills. Chuck Mills was far ahead of anybody I came in contact with in the South. He didn't play that at all. He was very, very liberal and a great man. And thank God I had a chance to coach under his supervision. And he allowed me to coach, and he allowed me to recruit men all over. Yeah. Didn't matter for race or anything else. So thank God I didn't have those kind of problems being a protege, being an assistant coach under Chuck Mills.
Now, Coach, you made that transition. You coached in the MEAC. You coached in the CIAA. And even today, now we got coaches still staying in office. Coaches still not making enough money. Do you think back then that in administration, I know you used to be the big man on campus. If you walked on A&T, where Coach Hayes at? And I know you kind of was in control. Now, of course, in HBCUs, that's not happening no more. There's not the big time coach. Do you think the administration in the HBCUs have kept up with today's trend? Because when the PWI started recruiting white guys, they started building bigger stadiums, bigger homes. Share some of that with you. You did get a chance to see that transition.
Well, see, I think you got to find a way. You can sit around and feel sorry for yourself all you want to, but ain't nobody going on Saturday when that game started. Ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. So you gotta find a way to win. You got to do what you got to do, and you got to put it together. I remember, Johnny, I was at A&T 15 years. They never gave me a budget to bring recruits in. So I put on a suit and tie and went to all the top hotels in Greensboro and told them that I needed 5 rooms on Friday and Saturday night, and blah, this is what I'm going to do. If you let me have these 5 free rooms, then I'm going to go to 10 restaurants, and I'm going to get meals for 10 couples to come in on Saturday night between 5:30 and 6. See, you got to find a way to get it done. Now, you can sit around and point the finger and blame everybody else, but you know what? At the end of the day, my daddy taught me, son, you got to beat somebody to work. You got to get there first. You get there first, and you work harder than everybody else. things gonna be all right. So I ain't never worried about what they gonna do for me. I'm gonna figure out a way to do it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna find a way to bring the top kids in. I'm gonna have meals. I'm gonna have the best facilities for them to play in. I'm gonna do all of that. And so when I sit around, I hear them complaining about what they ain't got. I'm gonna figure out a way to get what I need, because that's on me. All I want is the opportunity. That's all I want, and I'm gonna do the rest. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
How does you coming up through a HBCU black college as a student, how much did you take that with you and make you even a better coach than you that you are? Did it help you when you took over Winston-Salem and A&T and those programs?
Well, see, I had the best coaches in the world at North Carolina Central. My head football coach, Herman Riddick, was a biology teacher. He taught a full load of biology classes. He wore a suit and tie every day. He was dressed sharp, shoes shine. He was a great role model. He was what I needed. Coming from where I came from in the bottom side of Durham, North Carolina, poor kid, I needed to play for a role model like Herman Riddick. I need to see a man with class. I've been around all those other kind of folk, those winos and those crazy, but he was class. And the George Quiet, our other coach, was class. They dressed the part. They act the part. They spoke right. They were great teachers. They taught me how it ought to be. That's who I learned from. And so consequently, when I became a head coach, I would never wear no gym clothes on the campus. I'm walking around with a suit and tie on, like my coach taught me to do. Now, when I get ready to go down to coach, I'm gonna go down to the office and change clothes and put on some clothes to go out and coach in. But when I'm in the public eye and I'm representing that program and I'm representing those kids, I'm gonna have my act together. That's what I was taught, and that's the way we learned. And we learned, don't feel sorry for yourself. Find a way to get it done. You can always point the finger at other folk and make excuses about why you can't get it done. But the bottom line is, it's on. If it is to be, it's up to me. Just take me to the game and turn me loose. Turn me loose on them folks, because I'm gonna finish it. You see what I mean? So I think if it is to be, it's up to me, Johnny. And I can't all those things. I can't worry about those things I can't control. Right. I gotta only worry about those things that I got full control of. And that's that 60, 70, 80, 90 ball players. I got control of them. I got control of my practice time. I got control of I never forget training assistant coaches. We had these coaches. We didn't have enough coaches, so we go out and find some coaches, some volunteers. And we stay in the office, and I'm coaching the volunteers till 11, 12 o'clock at night, so they be ready to coach the next day. Which foot to step with, what hand placement, how they rip and swim on defense. I got to teach them that every night to get ready for the next day. Them same guys turn me into the AD. That guy working us too hard. He keep my wife mad because we working 11, 12 o'clock every night, which I thought was crazy. Yeah. But you know what? We got to find a way to win. Nobody's going to, I learned a long time ago in coaching, ain't nobody going to feel sorry for you. I'll never forget one time we played up at Norfolk State. Played a great game. They kicked a field goal on us. The last play of the game to beat us. I'm standing there by the locker room door after the game was over. People walked by me and looked at me, ready to throw mud in my face. Mm-hmm. I looked down in the crowd and I see this lady coming. And it was my wife. She walked up to me and I said, Lord, finally somebody gonna come and feel sorry for me. So I reached out to put my arm around her and she said, Bill, you dumb SOB, why in the hell did you do blah, blah, blah? See, don't nobody feel sorry for you when you lose, Johnny. That's right. That's right. You got to find a way to win. That's right.
Hey, you're listening live to HBCU Coaches Corner, and we have the legendary HBCU college football coach, Bill Hayes. He's truly a legend, and he's dropping a lot of wisdom today. I also have my co-host, Steve Campbell, along with the legend himself, Johnny Cole. Coach Hayes, I have a question for you. And it's it's bringing us up to the today's situation in coaching. In the last 30 years in HBCU coaching, me and Coach Cole has looked back and we've checked out the landscape. There are been some many coaches that won championships in those 30 years. But for whatever reason, we haven't had the guys that has sustained over history like the W.C. Gordons, the
Bill Hayes.
Bill Hayes. Of course, Eddie Robinson was legendary. When you talk about Billy Joe or whatever, we haven't had a coach stay 10 years, 11 years, 12 years in a program. Can you speak to what stability means to a program and maybe even comment as to why we don't have it anymore in HBCU football?
Well, back in the day, those old college presidents, they let the coach coach. And they created an atmosphere. While we didn't have a lot of money, we had a lot of loyalty inside the administration. Well, the president and his staff had respect for the coach. And they treated the coach a lot differently. As years have passed, when I first started, the chancellor was a great guy. I mean, he talked to you like you were a human being. The longer I coach, the further away from us those chancellors got. And then they look at you at the corner of their eye, like something's wrong with you, knowing full well that they hadn't given you what you need to win with. But on Saturday, they get amnesia, and they think you're going to win, supposed to win anyway. And when you don't, then they're going to come at you. So then the camaraderie that we used to have when I first started coaching with my president and all the upper administrations at the schools, they were solid. They appreciated your hard work. The longer I coach, the more reluctant I was to getting close to those folks. I'm watching them real close because I knew who they were. And so things have changed. The pressure to win, the pressure to build programs changed during my 10 years as a football coach. And I'll never forget how some of those college presidents looked at me and treated me when I really needed their support, when I really needed their help. I mean, I could go on and on and on about that because it was some trying times trying to build programs literally with nothing.
Now you bring that up, Coach. You bring that up, Coach Hayes, and like I say, I've watched PWI football my entire life. I've been a college football fan all my life, and what I see the difference that I see is the level of buy-in by the administration into athletics. PWIs and predominantly white schools have taken athletics and made that a primary aspect of building the brands for their universities, right?
Right.
Why do you think or do you believe HBCUs have taken that same opportunity to use sports to build their brand for their universities?
You know what? When you talk about PWIs, most of the times you don't even know who the chancellor is.
Right.
Nobody never calls his name. He is literally invisible. But you go to a historically black college, and the chancellor is going to be well known, out front, vocal, and everything. So it's just it's a completely different environment. And so I remember when I was at Wake Forest, I never saw the chancellor. He was never there. But the longer I stayed in college coaching at HBCUs, the more the presidents and chancellors were out front in the program, needing special attention, needing to be acknowledged, sending messages down about what you better get done. But when you needed money to get out and recruit and doing all the other things, then they were nowhere to be found. But I'm not upset with them because, like I said, what I learned is it's on me. I got to find a way to win. I can't depend on him because he really don't understand. And the only time he's concerned is on Saturday. Monday through Friday, he ain't concerned about how I'm going to function with these kids. I got to find a way to get a bus to get them on the trip. I got to get some food for them to have on Friday night before the game. I got to put everything in place for them to have success. And then I got to coach them to win and get them back home safely, and then get them to church on Sunday morning. And I got to be at church with them. See, we got to do all that. But he ain't going to be nowhere around. But you drop a game, and all of a sudden he going to call you up to his office. And it ain't going to be fun. So I've been down both roads.
Well, one of the things, and Coach Kemp, I want you to piggyback off this. We talked about some of these athletic directors they've been hired. One of them, of course, the late former AD at Florida A&M, who was 11th in a pool of 12 and got chosen as the AD. But Campbell, kind of take it away of they're not being trained. You know, this kind of your baby. Can you take it away from there and ask Coach?
Well, Coach, one of the things that we talked about, and, you know, you could think about the legendary athletic directors that you came up under and that were all at many of these great universities. A lot of the athletic directors had coaching backgrounds. So they actually knew what the coaches needed to support them. That's how they knew how to hire the right people and things like that. As we moved further into 2000, it became more of number crunchers and things like that. Who could balance the budget? And then, of course, the more rules and regulations. Coach, how was it? Because you talked about almost 150 players that you coach and your coaching tree put in the NFL. Talk about the development that you all did for these young men, that you were able to first identify the talent and then be able to coach them up and then allow them to go to the NFL. So along with the support system that you had during those times.
Well, you know, athletic directors changed during my years. You know, support, the word support is vital. Support me. Be there when I need you the most. Help me with the little things. I can take care of the major things. But sometimes you need some help with the little things. You need to know that these folk care and trust you. Because it's hard. Even having everything in place, it's still hard. Do you realize that you could, I remember times I went 3 years one time and never took a day off, and including Sundays. I coached 3 years straight, put on a Santa Claus suit on Christmas morning, giving scholarships for Christmas. It's hard. And you need somebody that really understands in your down times to put their arm around you and say, well, you know, we're with you. Keep trying. We're going to get there. But a lot of times it ain't like that. You can see it clearly when you've been where Johnny Cole and I've been, when you're coaching. Because they come down after the game and you're not going to, if you have a bad game, you're not going to see them. They don't understand that sometimes you need somebody to put their arms around you and say, hey, you did a good job. It was a rough one. You came close. You know, we're with you. We're going to get them next week. They don't know about that. You know, they don't know about that at all. So it's hard. And it has changed a lot during my tenure. I remember when I started at Winston-Salem State, we had a minister for a chancellor, a great guy, always positive, always encouraging. His wife was always encouraging and positive. The longer I stayed in it, the more of those kind of folk I never saw anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I want to step in here and let everybody know we're listening to you're listening to HBCU Coaches Corner, and we are in the midst of a fascinating interview with the legendary HBCU head football coach, Bill Hayes. He has a wealth of knowledge and taking us down memory lane, giving us a history lesson, also adding perspective on things that are even happening now in coaching. Coaching, I would like to ask you this, Coach. You have an extensive coaching tree that has, that even to this day, that is very active in coaching. Can you give us some of those guys that you hired as coaches and tell us what makes a good coach? What makes a good coach? Coach Cole says this: only 25% of guys who ever gonna blow a whistle gonna win. The rest of the jokers gonna lose. So with your coaching tree out there still in effect, you in the before we came on, you mentioned special relationships that you have with guys stemming all the way back to when you played football at North Carolina Central. Can you talk about that and tell us about guys that you influenced in the coaching business?
Man, let me just let me tell you this. I remember back in 1977 at the American Football Coaches Association, we started an organization called the United Coaches Association. Johnny, you remember, we started the United Coaches Association because we felt like we were not getting some of the appreciation from the American Football Coaches Association. Long story short, they made me president of the United Coaches Association in 1977. Guess what? The United Coaches Association became the Black Coaches Association. So you talking to the first Black Coaches Association president and Bill Hayes, and I'm proud of that. So it's never been easy. It's a total grind. The great Pete Richardson came up under me. I hired him out of high school up in Ohio. Guy came in, guy could coach. Very loyal, very dedicated. I had Rod Broadway at North Carolina Central. I had Gibbs' daddy, Stan Gibbs. We call him Mighty Mouse. So I remember when that boy was born. He probably born on a football bus coming back from a trip. But we had a lot of good ones, Coach, and I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Coach, that you started, United Coach Association, went to the BCA.
Yeah.
Right? And we still was going. Coach, tell me, or did it ever dawn on you, whenever they came out with the Black college list of Black college coaches that could go and get a head job, there was never a Black college coach on the list.
That's right.
It just changed.
I know, Johnny. I know.
It changed. All of a sudden, not one HBCU coach was on that list. Not a Bill Hayes, not a WC Gordon at that time, not a Eddie Robinson, not a Marino Castle, but not a LC Cole, because he had just came to start. I was lost when I would see that list. I was jumping, offensively, I was doing well.
But Johnny, you know what? We can't do nothing about that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, in front of this country, you are the smartest offensive minds I've ever been around, and no question about it. You could coach, you could move, you could move them chains, Johnny. And I used to, if you remember back, I used to come see. We're gonna bloody somebody's nose. We're gonna play some slobbermouth football. We're gonna be the best running that football and great kicking game. But you know how to get that ball down the field fast. And I should admire you for that. In fact, you remember I should come to you and get me 3 or 4 plays every year, Johnny. You remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I give you a lot of credit, you and your brother, for doing some of the things that you guys did to make our game a lot better. We ain't gonna change the way these folk in this country think. Right. Anytime you got guys with 34 felonies running for president, I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? And tied in the thing. Come on.
Coach, I got one other thing. All right. Of course, you picked some great staffs, and we talk about that. And in the last 20 years, all the championship SWAC coaches are most of 90% of them is out of coaching, and the other 10% is assistant coach somewhere, which is crazy. When you pick your staff, or look at a staff, and our fans, Coach, because we talk truth on here, you know what I mean, and we giving them the real ideal on how and why a coach become a head coach. And when you picking your staff, kind of tell us how you went through that and how you try to go and find the best talent you can.
Well, first of all, we had a very limited amount of money.
Right.
That's the first thing. And so now I got to find me somebody that want to. Now, if he wants to badly enough, I can train him. So I ended up training most of the guys that came under me. because they didn't have it when they came to me. They didn't have the knowledge, nor the background, nor the skills, and we didn't have enough money to pay the ones that did. You see what I mean? We knew who had talent on the peripheral. We knew what guys at what schools could really get it done right then. But I ain't have
So,
no money.
so y'all did a collaborative thing. You could call other coaches and get a background check on the kids.
No question. And we're going to spend a lot of time going to conventions and watching other coaches and watching footwork and technique and watching film and walking through plays to make sure everybody was on the same page. You know, we had to make most of our coaches, because we couldn't afford that. We didn't have the money, the budget to hire the quality ones that could come in ready-made. But guys like Pete Richardson came out of high school. He had great talent because he was a pro football player, cornerback. And
now, did you know he coached me, Coach? He coached me and my brothers.
Yeah, and could coach, couldn't he?
Coach.
Yeah, he could really get it done. And I had Wiley. These young guys don't remember, but Wiley Harris, Bo Lightning, from Johnson C. Smith and A&T. Wiley Harris could coach football. One of the greats. You know, we beat Eddie 5 times in a row, Johnny. He never beat us. No.
Now, Coach, do you think, and I'll be telling these guys sometimes, that's what's happening with our football. And it ain't so much that the NFL is not saying, oh, I don't want to draft a black college football player. Because, Bill, you know, when they used to draft them all the time, it's that we don't have those type of players anymore. And a lot of that, and Bill, you can contest, is because you don't have some old coaches on your staff that can make some phone calls, that they either know the kid's parent, they know the high school, they know the high school coach. And we get a lot of players just of who we are. And because we've been in the back. So when you out, and you always sitting thinking about young coach, we need a young coach. That's true enough. But those guys who have won championships in 20 years, they still to be somewhere coaching on somebody's staff. And
you know, we made a lot of players too. You know, we found that shell. We knew how tall we wanted that DB to be. We knew how, and we wanted to recruit a lot of corners, but we find that body type that we're looking for. And then we start coaching on him. One step at a time. Footwork, hand placement, weightlifting, running. So we made a lot of football players. First of all, we're gonna go out and we're gonna find the shell that we're looking for. He may be a long ways away from the end result. But we're going to get the right shell. You know, when I brought in Timmy Newsom, here's a 6'2", 200-pound running back. You know, actually he played defensive end, and I moved him to running back because he had what I wanted. He had what I wanted in a running back. Then I had his teammate, Arrington Jones from Richmond, Virginia. He's 6'2", 225 tailback back in the day. So we bigger and better and faster and stronger than most folk are up front. So we knew the kind of guy that we wanted to coach, and we knew how he wanted him to look. We knew how he wanted his feet to move. So we never recruited a guy if his knee, he was knock-kneed, as we used to call it back in the day, or slew-footed. We wanted him to have straight feet.
That's right.
You know, we wanted to be a certain height. We wanted to be able to run. If he could, then we put him in a program. We can train him for 3-4 years. But the thing that I don't understand, Johnny, is how you get kids ready now and then somebody come and buy them from you the next year. That would break my heart. As much time as we spend developing kids, it was like a marriage. And you develop this kid and you put all this time in him, and all of a sudden the next year he gone because somebody come and offer him $2 or $3 more. That would break my heart. I'm glad I was out of it before.
I'm glad. I've been thinking about this, guys, and you'll get a kick out of this, Coach Hayes. If the NCAA want to be right, especially the 1AA schools in Division II, when those big schools come to take one of their players, they need to pay the school for all the training, like you said, Coach, the food we fed him, the dorm. They need to pay the school as well.
Yes,
that's
right.
Just another subject.
That's right.
At least these smaller schools are getting some besides losing these big time players.
That's right.
You know, so it's got to be something. And that's the thing too, Coach. You said it so eloquently, how older coaches can see a kid that they've coached in the past. His shoulders are wide instead of narrow. His feet are sloop instead of straight. His knees are tight instead of, or his hips. You know, and you can look at that player because you developed a player like him before, Coach Campbell, and you go after it. You know what I mean? You know. But when you're a young guy and you ain't been out there, and you ain't recruited some bad ones that you thought was gonna be good, you don't know what you're looking for. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
Well,
That's
So,
right.
so it's very important that you learn how to turn over those rocks.
well, let,
Go on.
well,
Go
let me
ahead.
ask you this, Coach. Coach, you guys were talking about how Johnny could scheme, Coach Cole could scheme plays, and then you guys got to having a conversation about player development. Which one of those components do you guys see as being the cornerstone of a program? Being able to scheme it up and run it, or being able to take a player with marginal talent and develop him into something?
Well, you got to have a player develop before you can do scheme.
Yeah.
So Johnny can't scheme with unless he got something to scheme with. You know what I mean? He got to have the right. He got to have the right players. You know, and what we learned over the years. Well, see, there are certain type of players that get recruited. For example, if you're a 6'2 and a half, 6'3 offensive tackle in high school weighing 210 pounds, nobody gonna look at you. You're not gonna get a look. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring in all those guys as walk-ons, because they're not gonna get recruited. So we're gonna recruit tackles. We're gonna make the rest of them. We're gonna recruit corners. We're gonna recruit. You see, you're not gonna beat us throwing the ball, so we're gonna recruit corners. We're not gonna recruit wideouts. We're gonna recruit corners, because that's the cornerstone of your defense. So we're gonna put our money on. We ain't have enough money. We never had a full complement of scholarships. So the money we got, we're gonna put it on them corners, because you're not gonna beat us throwing the football. And so certain positions, like outside linebackers, we ain't got enough money to recruit them. So we're going to make them. So we're going to bring in our regular 30 signees, but we're going to bring in 60 walk-ons. And of the 60 walk-ons, when the smoke clear, we're going to have 30 football players, because 30 of them going to leave. But they're going to get dissatisfied and disgruntled about this, that, and the other. They ain't playing. They're away from mama. You know, things ain't like it was in high school. You know, when the lights, and you're going to have to sit out that first year. You're not going to play a whole lot. You probably won't even practice a whole lot, normal practice. But then what I found out is after a year, that guy is just as good or better than the kid I signed the year before. Right. So we had a formula. Because we had a lack of money, you know, it's like your budget now. You can't go out and buy no Maserati with your budget. So you go out and get something and keep it washed and the tires glazed, because you can't afford them. So we couldn't afford to recruit at every position. So we recruited the vital positions, and we made the other positions. And what we found out is the ones we made ended up being, we call them program kids.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We're gonna keep them five and a half, sometimes 6 years. You know. And build them. That's what the young coaches got to learn how to do. They got to learn how to take that program kid. He's got the right height. He got straight feet. He ain't knock knee. He go to class. He ain't no drug head. He gonna do what you ask him to do. He gonna be around 5, 6 years. Now you take him and develop him.
Preach it, Coach. Preach it.
Huh?
I said, preach it, Coach. You preaching it.
I know. And so first I got to teach him what to do with his feet. How to use his feet, his good footwork, good hand placement, good hip hop. You know, I'm going to take him through so many drills. We're going to work the living hell out of him, man. Yeah. And you know what? From the time he goes to school in August to March, We got him in a special program. When March rolls around and we start thinking about spring ball, he gonna be better than that recruit because he had all this fundamental training. And like I said, we might bring in 90, but you're gonna lose half of them because they spoiled them. A lot of them are mama's boys and spoiled, and mama done told them, it ain't like it. They don't know what the real world is like. But the ones that stay, I had one named D. Loach that I think about. Ended up starting with the Carolina Panthers. He's 6'3". He 175 pounds from down the eastern part of the state, could run like a deer. Came in, we made a corner out of him. Here's a 6'3", 4'5" cornerback that was a walk-on. Ended up signing a pro contract and playing, had a long pro career. So we had a lot of them like that because we never had enough money to go out just signing a whole bunch of folks. We're going to be real specific about what we do and who we bring in. But the foundation of our program are those program kids, those walk-on types. Yeah. And we're going to bring them in, and we're going to work the devil out of them in the weight room and footwork drills and hand placement drills. We're going to coach them, and they're going to be with us. But nowadays, I don't know if we can do that or not, because if we get them right, somebody come and give them $3 and take them away from us.
Well, one of the things too, Coach, you know how you used to recruit defensive linemen out of high school and make them offensive linemen?
Oh, yeah.
They're aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
Coach, man, I know you on a schedule, but let's talk about before you get off what's going on with you. Let's go back through your the money in the golf tournament. Is that golf tournament open for any and everybody, or you got specific people? But I know you about raising money and giving money back.
Yeah, well, after having spent a lifetime in historically Black colleges, I knew that we never had enough of anything, and money was always an issue. So when I retired from coaching, I made up in my mind that I was never going to let anybody have to go through what I went through if I had anything to say about it. I'm never going to let coaches be without money and to buy all the little things that we need. So I started the Bill Hayes Foundation, and we're gonna raise over $100,000 a year.
Can we come out there, Coach?
You can come out and
shoot some shots and interview some people.
Johnny, we're gonna be there May the 2nd. We're gonna be at the Country Club in Winston-Salem, Maple Chase Golf and Country Club. Mac Brown from Carolina. Come on, Woodrow from Clemson. Woody McCovey and his crowd, they all gonna come from Clemson. The NC State guys gonna come, the A&T guys, the Fayetteville State guys, they all gonna come to the tournament. We're gonna have 25, 27 teams to go off in the morning, and about that same number, we're gonna make over $100,000. We got a silent auction. We get football jerseys from all the big schools, and we auction off football shoes and football jerseys and helmets and rings. The jewelry stores give us jewelry to auction off, and we have a silent auction. We make a ton of money on the silent auction. We take all the money and give right back to Black colleges. Yeah.
Let me read this real, Coach. Bill Hayes and Curl Hayes Foundation has donated over $250,000 to North Carolina HBCU schools over the past 3 years. We raised most of the money donated from our annual celebrity golf tournament. Pro football players and coaches, as well as collegiate greats, support our tournament and fundraiser. Winston-Salem State, A&T, North Carolina Central, East Carolina, Johnson C. Smith, and FSU Athletic Department all receive support, plus local entities to the schools. On another note, Wake Forest Athletics will honor Coach Bill Hayes at the Wake Forest A&T football game, August 29th. I was the first coach of color in the ACC and the only coach to coach at both schools. Wake will honor me in January with the Trailblazer Award, given only 3 times in the school history. Wake Forest will allow our QR code on their scoreboard to raise money for HBCUs. So I reached out to Coach and I said, "Good morning, Coach. I've already reached out to the HBCU Go TV. I will forward this information to my production manager Congratulations, Coach. You deserve it. You inspired me. Coach said the Trailblazer Award is huge. I will also be honored captain of the NCCU North Carolina game. Me and Mac Brown are close. And so Coach made me feel so good. I said, Coach, and Coach, this is sincere. I said, Coach, your accomplishments are unmatched. You have done it with so little. This is why I started this platform. Really, ESPN should be highlighting you, but I guess you the wrong color. And he said, Coach, at 7 years old, I caught polio. I prayed to God to let me walk so I could run and jump. If God would let me walk and run and jump, I promised God that I would do something special. But Coach, you've accomplished that. And I can say that with me, and I know all the other players and stuff that you've touched. So I want to make sure that I get that out. So if people wanted to donate something to the tournament, or you got folks out there maybe want to play, I don't know, do you got a cutoff or what?
No,
So
Johnny, it's wide open. Our QR code going to be on the website, on the scoreboard at Wake Forest University on Thursday night when they play A&T. And hopefully A&T will put our QR code on the board when they play Winston-Salem in a couple of weeks. And, some of the schools that we help, and we help a lot of them, they send their coaches, and they're going to send us a contribution to the foundation, and we're going to turn around and give it right back. My players, John, I got a statue coming up sometime.
That's right.
Yeah, around homecoming, they're gonna put my statue. I'm trying to live long enough to see my statue get up. It'd be bad for me not to see it, but I am so happy and proud, and my guys have done so much in support of me and our foundation, and we just not only do we help the small HBCUs, a lot of the high schools in our area now are predominantly Black, and they don't have some of the stuff that they need for the athletic program. We give back to them. They call, let us know what they need. We're going to give them some money to fix some of their problems. So not only do we help HBCUs in our region, we help a lot of the high schools in the area too. So that's what it's all about. It's about giving back. It's about helping people. It's about trying to find a way to win. And that's what I've been doing. And that's what I'm committed to doing for the rest of my life.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach Hayes, I was in the military, and I got a bunch of friends from the eastern shore of the United States. And I know those guys from Virginia, Tidewater area, those guys from North Carolina and even South Carolina would argue ad nauseum about who had the best athletes between those three places, right? Coach Hayes, with your expertise, can you tell me, of those three regions, you can even add East Georgia in there if you want to, of those 3 or 4 regions, who has the best athletes?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Tidewater, Virginia don't have to take a backseat to anybody. South Carolina had great athletes. The coaching might not be as good in some areas, but they had great. And North Carolina, see, the problem is, there were 32 college people playing football in North Carolina, 32 different schools playing football. And so when you had the Atlantic Coast Conference, and then you had all those other conferences, when you got down to the CIAA or the historically Black colleges, we're on the tail end of the thing. So while there were 32 schools playing football in North Carolina, which made it real hard for us to get the best players in North Carolina. But we could go down into South Carolina, down on the coast, and we could ease back with a good athlete. Or we could go up in the Tidewater sometimes and come out there with a good. Can you imagine how it was in the 50s and 60s when Black colleges had all the top Black athletes? Can you imagine what Eddie and them had down there at Grambling, that kind of athletes they had, and what North Carolina Central and A&T and South Carolina State? Can you imagine the kind of athletes they had before integration? Whew, that was the real deal. Pro Scouts lived on our campuses. And, when you think back on it, what they would do, we had so many players, they come and get a coach $500 and take the players that they wanted. And get a kid nothing. Just give him a chance to try out. You remember that, Johnny?
Yes, sir. Yes,
We've
sir.
seen a lot of change.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, man, I thank you. I know you told me before you on a schedule. Coach Gibbs just texted me and said, man, it was a great show. I've been getting a lot of that. I knew it was going to be a great show because you, Coach, since the day I met you, you've been entertaining. I was just a young guy walking up and just trying to meet you, and you kind of always took me under your arm. But thank you, Coach. We'll bring you back on again, maybe right before your golf tournament.
Okay.
In May, and have at it again and have the floor, and definitely I'll talk to my guys. We probably want to come out there and spend the day with you and get it on the HBCU Coaches Corner. I love it, Coach.
Thank you,
love
John.
it.
I appreciate you, Steve. Rocky, you're a great guy.
Thank you very much.
Back on there soon. Come up here when they put the statue up and around homecoming in Winston-Salem. It's 12 feet tall, and it's gonna be off the chain. So I'm really excited about the way things are going in my life going forward. Thank you all so much.
You deserve it, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whew.
And again, you only get it here on HBCU Coaches Corner, hosted by none other than Johnny Cole, along with myself and the incomparable Steve Campbell. We're live on CBS Syntex CBS Sports Radio. We're also where you can find us. We can download the Syntex Sports One app on the Google Play Store and also the Apple Store. But Coach Cole, what did it mean to you to have Coach Hayes here on the show with you? I could tell it was a treat for you. But what is he, for those who are just coming on now, what does he mean to coaches, to people in the coaching fraternity like yourself, who have been in black college football, for 20, 30 years?
Well, of course, Coach, I look at it in two different areas. I look at it as why we need these platforms, and we can't continue to let our history get away from us. You can't know where you're going unless you know where you came from, because then you know what kind of steps. And I think that we have forgotten those times and days, you know what I mean? And as he talked about people who have came up under his tree, how they went around and go about daily business of being a coach at the HBCU schools. And it also gives you a picture of where we came from administratively wise, financially wise, and talent wise, that we ain't, Campbell, have came far as we should have. You know what I mean? He made some comments on why, and those are things that we've been talking about. The whys, you know what I mean? The buddy pass and all that type of thing. The other part is, that's my hero, Coach. That's what I grew up on. I didn't need to be, and I hate to throw out some of these coaches' names because they're all great coaches. I didn't need to see Nick Saban. He wasn't my hero. He's a great coach. I didn't need to see Lou Holtz. Great coach. Lou Holtz spoke to the Black Coaches Association, and he said a great thing, Coach. He said, all you guys in here can't get nobody a job. Now, he talking to the BCA. All blacks in there in Lou Holtz. He says, none of y'all guys in here can get somebody a job. He said, what you need to do is be out in that hallway and get to meet those other guys. You know what I mean? And he said, yeah, at that time, you could hire 9 assistants. He said, well, out of those 9 assistants, you're going to have 4 of them that's going to want to be an offensive coordinator or a head coach. You could tell when you give them assignment, they go get it done. All those other 5, they just there. You know what I mean? And that was right. And that's the kind of thing, when I became a head coach, you could see those things happening. But you got to have guys like Eddie Robinson and Marino Castle and W.C. Golden and Jake Gaithers and some of those guys as a black coach. Because you guys, who I keep thinking about over and over again. Y'all couldn't even get. I keep thinking about Willie Simmons because he's a great coach. And he's chasing his dream, to be a coach at a PWI. and I just keep all that talent. How, as he say, how long will he stay a running back coach? How long? We don't know. But we know this, Coach Campbell, he coaches football. He can develop some kids. He can get it done. You know what I'm saying? So I just was giddy, Coach. I mean, me and Coach Hayes, we would talk. I would just listen to him for hours, guys. You know, because he has so much knowledge on the game and how you handle black players and parents and just the whole work, man. And I've been around Eddie Robinson. I've been around Marino Cass. I've been around Archie Garcia Clee. I've been around L.C. Cole. I've told Pete Richardson coach me. So those are my heroes. And for me to have him on this platform and you guys, man, as outstanding as you two guys are, hey, man, look, it's a great day and a great time for me. And it ain't about me, you know. It's about me helping and supporting our brothers. And that's why I get so angry. And y'all know when I'm calling these guys to come on the show, and not only do they don't come on the show, they don't even call and say yes or no. But that's okay. We're going to keep pushing on, and we're going to get the ones that want to come on and talk and sell their program and sell themselves. And the ones that don't, we got the microphone, and we're going to put them on yours truly. The what's that, the prayer line?
Yeah.
Coach
Absolutely.
Campbell, we're going to put them on the prayer line, and we're going to start with Norfolk State, you know, and we'll get into that later. So we're going to put them on the prayer line.
Hey, Coach. Again, I want to remind everybody we're live here on Syntex Sports One, CBS Sports Radio here in Central Texas. We're also live on our app, which is at the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. You also can go to syntex1.com and listen and catch the broadcast live. But guys, let's transition into. We had a great weekend, guys. Yeah, you guys had I got into Atlanta a little late, so you guys had probably had a great weekend without me. Your weekend, y'all weekend started before mine, but y'all had a great weekend in Atlanta, and we ended up we were there on business, guys. We were there on official business, and we got a chance to see live and in person Mr. Campbell's Florida A&M Rattlers take on the Norfolk State Spartans. What I consider to be a great representation of HBCU football. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. But before I go into my thoughts, Coach, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts about what you guys actually saw on Saturday.
Go ahead, Coach Campbell.
Well, what I'm going to do, Rocky, I'm going to start off and just give just a quick recap, talking about, some of the stats and stuff like that. You had Florida A&M's quarterback, Daniel Richardson, who had grad transfer, going 22 for 30 for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Daniels, who was forced into being the starting role, he went 7-9 for 142 yards passing. A&M rushing, Kelvin Dean, one of the leaders of the team, 11 carries, 49 yards. On the other side, we talked about this kid in our breakdown with Norfolk State. Kevin King, who was an all MEAC player, totally dominated the first half of this game. 14 carries for 146 yards. Had Zavon Evans that came with 12 rushes for 55 yards. But then the next wide receiver superstar, Florida A&M, Jamari Gasson, 8 receptions, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, of Norfolk State, Jaquez Jones, big plays, 4 receptions for 78 yards. So you kind of got that. But for me, it was the first game of the season. And what I took away from the game was I was glad that when we saw that first level of adversity, I did not see Florida A&M blink. I saw adjustments made at halftime. I saw Florida A&M go on a 24-9 run, shut down the running game that Norfolk totally dominated in the first quarter. And I saw the team starting to get their groove. So for me, close game, but this is the difference between a championship team and a non-championship team, and another close loss for Norfolk State. But I'm going to tell everybody, and we broke this down. Coach, we told everybody they had 13 preseason all-conference players. And what you saw was 2 of those offensive linemen that was creating holes, and you saw some of those defensive backs that were making plays, and also that our preseason running back that really was the MVP for Norfolk State that really took that game over.
I'm glad you were able to get his stats. Anytime you rush the ball that good and playing good defense, you should win a game. The thing about it, what you seen, especially, it was two tails of teams in the first half. Norfolk State having Coach Odom being there coming into his fourth year, they know how it be fart, how it smell. They know where the bathroom at. They know everything about it, and it's his team totally. All right, and you seen a smooth transition when they came out. Other hand, Florida A&M, you got a new coach, even though he was there, but it's a new culture. New offense coordinator, defense coordinator, and they brought in 50 players. So they started off slow, and then when you looked at two teams as far as conditioning, you looked at a huge Norfolk State team, big guy. But on the other hand, you looked at Florida A&M, man, they got greyhounds over there. You know what I mean? They got kids they're athletic kids. So they sparred in the first half. Of course, Norfolk jumped up inside. What I didn't like, Coach, was that at the press conference, that Coach Odom was more talking about a moral victory than he's talking about his stats and how they ran 250 yards against the HBCU rivals. He was speaking of Florida A&M like they were Florida State, 180. We only lost by one, and you guys look back from last year. Well, that's what we do. We look back from what you've done in the past to make the future look at the future. Nobody was saying that you're gonna jump from last place to first place. I don't think that's a good bet to take. But I didn't like that part. His kids came out and competed, though. They competed. They went after it for a minute. I had Coach Rocky on the side of me. He was like, Coach, I told you so. Them some big old boys. I said, Coach, just hold on now. Hold on. The kids, Florida A&M got to adjust. And I'm going to tell you this, Coach Bishop Campbell, Florida A&M took that game. They wasn't on top of their game. They took it. And that's how winning programs do. You know what I mean? They got beat up and down that field. But they took it. They made the plays that happen. Their defense stiffened up. They just weren't going to lose that football game. And I'm going to just say this, the way Coach Odom coached that game to me is we just wanted to be good. We were glad we were right there with them. You threw the ball 9 times, and that you an offensive line guy, you felt good about the rushing part. I get it. But the object of the game is to win. That's my take.
Well, like I say, for a football junkie like myself, an extreme football fan, it was a wonderful weekend. Coach Cole, we arrived at the stadium and we went straight to the field. Coincidentally, both teams were warming up at the time. We got some great footage that we've shared on YouTube. You guys can go take a look at it. Some great footage. It was striking to me at the size of those guys at Norfolk State. They came out first. Then once the Florida A&M guys came out, then you saw, they were really some really good-looking athletes, man. I'm talking about some really good-looking athletes. Like those guys were really well-conditioned and everything. And I anticipated being a competitive game. A lot of people going into the game thought it would be a blowout. But after seeing both teams on the field, I thought it would be competitive. Both teams were very impressive physically. And then once the game got underway, what I saw was basically Norfolk State knew who they were. They tried to execute the game plan that they thought they could win. And I saw Florida A&M trying to find their identity offensively while having some struggles on defense, which they ended up down 14-0 in the first quarter. I also saw Daniel Richardson, the quarterback for A&M, get his feet up under him, make a few plays, and then, in my opinion, um, he took over the game along with the Florida A&M defense, made some adjustments, and it turned out to be what I thought it would be going in, which the better team was Florida A&M, and they pretty much dominated to the last 3 quarters of the game. I know people always say they won by 1 point or whatever. If you were at the game, you were able to see that. And I said this on Scotty's show. I didn't see Florida A&M. The game was in peril at all before. At all. I saw them as being the better team. They had to figure some things out. They got those things figured out. They had a fumble down the stretch that kind of kept the game close. But ultimately, I saw 2 really good teams battle it out, and the better team won. Now, I understand your criticism of Coach Odoms and his reluctance to throw the football, Coach Cole. But at the end of the day, he did have a couple series where he tried to feature the passing game, and they got sacked. He got sacked 2 times in a row, Coach. And so I understood him going right back to the running game to try to close it out. It just wasn't. I did unless Florida A&M gave away the game. I didn't see them losing the game, and they weren't gonna. They didn't give away the game. They did just enough to win, and they kept the ball away from Norfolk State on the last drive. They got the ball with 6 minutes 30 seconds. Norfolk State didn't see the ball again, down by 1.
Yeah, let's don't make no mistake that I'm saying they didn't win because they didn't throw the football. I'm not saying that, but I am saying when you got a great run game going, your pass game should make it easy. And maybe you might should have did some play action passes, to ride the thing up in there. I thought that the play to win the game at the end, that 2 things was happening here. The field goal attempt, 2 field goal attempts got blocked. That's coaching, Coach. That's coaching. Because evidently somewhere down when you were practicing that, those kids was not doing what they supposed to. So either you allow it to happen or you were coaching it. So we're giving up 2 of those. Then when you came down and you're running the ball and you got Kevin and the other kid that was
Kevon King.
Yeah, Kevon King that was running the hell out of it. It's no way that I'm going to involve my quarterback into getting a yard and a half to win the football game.
I agree with you there, Coach.
You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, I'm the coach. We come there to win. We don't come there and better yet, I would have came in the game as a 4-year coach and saying, this is the year. Not no, we played the HBCU national champions to 1 point. Damn that. Who gonna remember that, Coach Kevin? And I really, Coach Rocky, that really disturbed me because I thought those kids deserved better than that.
Well, here's my thing, and I may have said this when he was going for 2. In my opinion, whether he made it or missed it, the 2-point conversion, that wasn't gonna win the game. They hadn't kept. I don't think they put it in the second half. So I mean, that wasn't gonna win the game. Like that 1-point lead wasn't gonna be enough. Now it could have put some pressure on FAMU, sure enough. But with 6 minutes 30 seconds left, that 1-point lead was not gonna hold up. They would have to come down and score again. And they just and what it did, it gave Florida A&M opportunity in the game, which they did.
Well, time out, Coach. If they would have scored that, it wasn't no thing about Florida A&M was gonna come and score. That wasn't guaranteed because they held them already to 24. Who knows in that last inning with that edge of 1 point, we tasting victory. And Coach, we said it earlier, they lost by a whole lot of 1-point games and 2-point games, right? So you learn from your mistakes, right? And you got a team that's been together for 4 years, right? That's how you learn how to win. That's how you win football games. But when you come in there telling me Florida A&M, the national championship winners, and guys, y'all counted this out, and we only lost by 1, and we rushed 250 times, man, throw that out with the baby in the wash, in the window and all that good stuff, bro. I just didn't buy it.
I guess you're not a fan of moral victories, huh, Coach?
No, sir. No, sir, Coach. No, sir. Especially not in your 4th year. Now let him lose 2 or 3 or more of those. You know what I'm saying?
Rocky, let me.
Hey, he'll be on our show. He'll be on our show, Rocky, and we'll help him get another job.
Well, see, after that comment, he might not be on the show, Coach. Scott, Rocky, let me. I'm gonna do 2 things. To all my Southern people, what you saw was a Dawson Odoms offense, and you also saw why he never went to the Celebration Bowl. Because that offense, when I literally saw that, I said, I've seen this story before. And I have seen this play out at Southern when they played Alcorn many times in that SWAC championship game. And when it was time for Dawson Odoms to dial up a play, that's just not his thing. And I think also what happens too, and what bothers me about a lot of coaches, they overthink things. They want to try to get cute. Because you know what? And I saw this happen in the Celebration Bowl with Jackson State when they went to the tight end instead of going to Travis Hunter, who's clearly the best player on the field. But I'm going to lose. If I'm going to win or lose, I'm going to win or lose with my All-American. Same thing here. The quarterback, they say, you know what? They think we're going to give it to the running back. Let's do the sprint rollout. Let's do that RPO. And FAMU thought the same thing and blew the whole play up. So those are things that, again, that separates good teams from bad teams. Because, again, we talked about it. Norfolk State lost 6 games, and they even pointed out for the people on TV, because I watched the game on replay, 6 times they lost games less than a touchdown. This goes back to your point, Coach Cole. You've been there 4 years. You had actually the most starters coming back in the MEAC. You got the most all-conference players. There is talent on that team. So we're not for all those people that think not going to be talent. And I also got to say, I'm going to put my Florida A&M hat on. Daniel Richardson completed 73% of his passes. He averaged 10 yards of completion. That's good number for me. So for all of you all talking about, he ain't what we thought it was, you all teams play this week. And I'm going to be back here next Tuesday with the list of what your quarterbacks do. And I guarantee you, and I will bet all you all in this chat, because, boy, y'all been chirping, that your quarterbacks will not do exactly what Daniel Richardson did. I guarantee it. I will put my money on it. So this is the thing about it. You know, when we play these games and stuff like that, I picked at 35. I think I said I had 35-17. You play the games, but once again, what I'm most happy about is I saw a coaching staff that outcoached a seasoned coaching staff. They made adjustments. Those players did not panic. And like I said, when you go on a 24-9 run, Coach, to close the game out, you're doing something right. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me say this. Yeah. Norfolk State University. I want to know, if they're out there listening, how many of y'all went home happy? Huh? We lost by 1. We did a good job. We were right in there.
Hey, Coach Cole, let's be honest. They didn't have no fans show up to the game. So
when they got there late, Coach, they did come late. They came late.
Oh, those are Florida A&M fans.
Hey, Coach, it was 2,200, and they brought 200, and we brought the other 20,000. So we just got to keep it real, Coach. It was 22,000 people in the stadium. They brought, the 200 or something. We brought the other, maybe they might, we'll give them 2,000. Maybe, and I don't think they brought that. But we brought 20,000 of those people, guaranteed.
And so I'll say this. With no fan support, there's not many Norfolk State people that thought they had a chance to win the game. If they thought they had a chance to win the game, that, in my opinion, there would have been more Norfolk State fans in the stadium. If you would have looked at that stadium, you would think Norfolk, Virginia was in California somewhere. Not on the same coast as Atlanta.
Let me say this, Coach. Let's keep it real. Norfolk State should have won that football game. Florida A&M had a fake dead play because we thought it was a trick play, Rocky, until we went to the interview. Remember?
Yeah.
It was a dead play when the kid, what's his name? Give me his name.
Richardson, when they jumped offside.
Yeah. That's how they scored to go up. So the kids played their heart out. They played their heart out.
Coach, just because you play your heart out don't mean you deserve to win, Coach. At the end of the day, the better players on the field played for Florida A&M.
I disagree totally.
Coach, I can't remember one player that made an impact other than Kevon King.
Well, the quarterback played well.
Coach Allen went 7 for 9. He went 7 for 9.
Their offensive line played well. Their defense was tough. They got beat on 2 big bombs. Let's talk. They got beat on 2 big bombs. Other than that, those 2 plays, I'm older now. They ran up and down the field.
Coach, you know they only ran for 50 more yards after the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
So 3 quarters they only ran for 50 yards with 2.9 yards a carry of the 3 quarters after the first quarter. So that's the reason why I've got to talk about the adjustments. And you even talked about this, Coach. Me and you were sitting there, and you looked at me and said, Coach Campbell, the linebackers are just not meeting their gaps. And what we found out is that Eric Hall was pulled from the game because he was not maintaining gap integrity. They pulled him out of the game and didn't allow them to come back, from my understanding, in the third quarter.
Well,
so these are the things.
Go ahead.
So these are the things that, again, I always like this. I love when the first team plays out the gate. We were the first team that plays out the gate. And we're going to talk about some other games that we have highlighted. But for me, the goal is to win the game. Overall, we had 1 bad quarter. We had 3 good quarters. I'll take that. We move on, and we play Saturday against South Carolina State.
One of the things that Coach Coles said after the game, he said they were running some unbalance. So they kind of caught them off guard. And he pretty much said what the things that they've seen them do in the past, because they got a new offense coordinator, defense coordinator, they had to make some adjustments. So I definitely agree that Florida A&M made the adjustments at halftime, but still North Carolina State played well. So neither team to me just dominated.
No, not at all.
To me,
not at all.
like I said earlier, I just think that Florida A&M say, look, we're going to take this game. It's our first. We making adjustments, players, culture, everything. But one thing we're not going to do, we got to go lose. And I think the will to win is the reason why they won that football game.
And I will make one.
After listening to Coach Odom.
Yeah. I'm going to say one thing, and then, Rocky, I guess we can move on. The one thing that I got to talk about is Coach Henry, the offensive coordinator. The one thing that I saw, and we were watching the game, it looked like Coach Henry said, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me go back to some plays last year that got us successful. All of a sudden, you saw the tight end get involved. All of a sudden, you saw, like I say, to Coach's point, the go-ahead touchdown to the running back. You start seeing plays that we saw that was super successful last year, and Coach Henry started dialing them up. So to me, I like the fact that Coach Henry realized really quickly, based off of what maybe he thought he wanted to do against this team, he said, you know what, we've got some things in our bag that have been tried and true with this offense that it can work. And once again, as they say, the tight end is always open.
Absolutely, man. Like I say, the one thing that surprised me around the HBCU community, and I said this to Bishop over the phone, is that how people totally discounted Norfolk State even after they saw them play y'all into a very competitive game. They were like, Norfolk State is sorry. Ain't no way FAMU is going to go to the Sweat Celebration Bowl if they can only beat Norfolk State by 1 point. And I'll say this, I'll be surprised if Norfolk State isn't vying for the MEAC championship based on what I saw on Saturday.
Rocky, you'll see it. Like I say, you'll see.
I really think Norfolk does have a good team. They do. You know, but you got to go in there with high expectations that that we come to win the football game. We just don't come to play good. Because I've been on staffs and coached before where we didn't play good. But when you have a will to win, you do the things that make you win. You know, so and I just never really seen a coach in my coaching career that that talked about it basically to me because he was coming at the media. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys didn't think that we were gonna show up. You lost. you lost. You know what I'm saying? And we ran the ball up and down the field. Yes, but you lost. You know, so that's my take on it. And I know I'm a critic, coach. I know I'm a critic, but I believe in winning. You know.
Yeah. Hey, I want to take a quick break. You're listening to HBCU Coaches Corner on CBS Sports Radio, Syntex One. You can listen to this broadcast on the app, on our app, Syntex Sports One, and you can download those apps on the Google Play Store and also the Apple Store. But I also want to let you guys know, if you're looking online, you'll see that I have 5 tickets to the State Fair Classic. 5 tickets to the State Fair Classic. Now I'm gonna give these tickets away next week. The people that I'm gonna get the tickets away, in order to enter to win these tickets, you have to go make comments. The same person made comments on 3 different videos of ours. I don't care if they were last year videos or on the coaching series recently did. Go to 3 of our videos, make comments, and that will enter you into, and I'm putting it like this here. Type in State Fair Classic. That's how I'll know that you want to get entered in the drawing. State Fair Classic. Put that on the end of your comment, or just make that your complete comment. That way I know. Again, these are 5 tickets to the, hopefully, there's a camera right there. 5 tickets to the State Fair Classic. All right, Coach, let's get underway, because we got to, before the State Fair Classic, there's the Labor Day Classic. All right? And that's coming up this weekend. Let me get you guys' thoughts on this game and tell the people what we can expect on the Labor Day Classic hosted by Prairie View A&M.
Who's first, Coach? Call it out.
Mr. Campbell, I'll let you go ahead and go.
Well, here's the thing. Now, this is where the difference is when you won a championship and now you're trying to win a championship. See, now, Rocky, FAMU has already won their first game. So this is what I want to talk about. Now, all these pretenders to the throne, PV, they have been in our chats. They have said that this is their year. This is the thing. Now, I have picked them to win the West. You got to start by winning this game. Here's the thing. We had Coach Bubba McDowell right here on the HBCU Coaches Corner. We talked about who potentially was going to be their quarterback. Who is going to come out there? Who's going to be under center? Are they going to be able to execute the offense? We talked to Coach Dishman. He said, you know what? I'm going to bring in a few, and we talked about his recruiting class. I'm going to bring in a few recruits. I'm going to build from the high school. But remember, they still have a lot of talented players that came in with that Andrew Body recruiting class that is still on that team. So let's not say that this team doesn't have it. But for me, this is where Prairie View has to start and win this game. And I'm going to say this to you, Prairie View. Unlike FAMU, this is a game that I want you to try to dominate, because you're going to need confidence going into the SWAC. And one of those games is this game right here. So for me, Prairie View, I need to see you to win this game by 14 points.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I'll go next. In this game right here, I think Prairie View should start their campaign to be the West champions if they truly want to be the West champions. They have to enter this game. This is a home game. It's in Prairie View. They have to win this game in order to assert themselves as the dominant team in the West against an inferior opponent, in my opinion. Also, they just named their quarterback. Y'all may help me pronounce his name. Is it Cooley or Coley? Y'all let me know what it is. I'm not sure. Y'all just name your quarterback. This is the guy that had Coach Bubba McDowell grinning ear to ear. I hope he turns out to be everything that Coach Bubba McDowell wants him to be. At this point, Prairie View has been to the SWAC championship twice, and if they depend on and a lot of people in Prairie View think this is a year for them to win the SWAC. If they're truly going to win the SWAC, they have to dominate this game. What do you think, Coach?
You know, the numbers, when you look at choosing what's the best coach, you got to go with Coach Bubba McDowell. He's been in the position. Offensive coordinator, Prairie View, defensive coordinator, because you really don't know what Texas Southern has. But you do know this. They lost a big-time quarterback. They lost a big-time SWAC leading rusher. Those things are hard to rebuild, you know, and ante up. You don't know what really they're doing offensively or defensively. I don't even know if the coach knows. When you look at his background and look at Bubba's background, Bubba's been there. You know what I mean? It's kind of a reverse for me. I know when we were at Texas Southern, you know, we never lost to Prairie View. You know, that was kind of a thing, you know what I mean? And we know now that Prairie View has beat Texas Southern in the last 9 years, you know, and one of the questions we asked Coach Dishman was how important the game was. And he really didn't give it oh man, you know, this is very, very, very important. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, is he going in the game saying I'm still on my honeymoon, you know, or is he going in the game saying, man, if I got a chance to win, really important on winning this conference, if I lose this game, I'm two games behind. That's how important this game is. So I give Prairie View the edge.
Yeah, I think Prairie View has this is if they depend on winning the SWAC championship and beginning with winning the SWAC West, they had to win this game. Let's go to the next one. This is a game that I am thoroughly looking forward to right here, Coach. I'm looking forward to this game. Me and my wife, we're going to travel down to Miami. We're going to take in some Rays. And then on Saturday, and then we're going to travel over to the stadium on Sunday and see North Carolina Central and Andrew Body.
Now, ain't you guys going to a sporting event as well?
Yeah. I called JT. I called him and I texted JT. Let me check my phone. He ain't got back with me, but I suspect he'll be getting back with me soon. So I texted him. Like I said, Johnny T hadn't got back with me, but hopefully I got some people working on my behalf. Me and my wife, we plan on going to dinner and going to the banquet with Johnny T. And we also are trying to effort and get media credentials for the game, even though we missed the deadline. But I'm still working on trying to get media credentials. So
we could call Alabama State's AD. You know, he got that in, and definitely get some credentials for you.
I don't know if he's controlling the. He may have some pull for sure.
Yeah.
But and I'll start on this one, right? I think this is a very important game to set the tone for the season for Andrew Body. I believe he has a formidable opponent in NCCU, and he has to come out and establish himself as the quarterback in the SWAC, in my opinion. Daniel, in order for him to establish himself as a quarterback in the SWAC, as the quarterback, the bar has been set pretty high by Daniel Richardson. So Andrew Body has to go out and impact the game in a big way. NCCU, they're breaking in a guy who has very little experience at quarterback, playing what has historically been a pretty formidable defense. The way I see this game unfolding is NCCU struggles to put up points, and Andrew Body comes through and scores just enough to win the game. And I think this game is going to be in the area of 21-10, 21-13, something like that, in the favor of Alabama State. What do you think, Steve?
Well, this is another one of those games that, again, if you want to be a championship team, and if Florida A&M is in the clubhouse with one win, you got to, both of these teams, you want to win this game. So the question is, who is more pressure on? And I'm going to say it's more pressure on Alabama State, because for them to set the tone, they need to win this game. You've got a quarterback that has played in Andrew Body. You've got a defense with several all-conference SWAC players. You've got an offensive line that they feel pretty good about. Then you go over to NCCU. You're breaking in a new quarterback. You've lost a lot of starters from last year's team. But the question is Trey Oliver, once again, the coaching. Does Trey Oliver, with his coaching skill and acumen, with that new quarterback, keep this game a low-scoring game and win at the end? I'm going to take Alabama State on this game. But what I will say this to Alabama State people, this is one of those games that when you're looking at your season, if you lose this game, I'm going to tell you, the teams like a Florida A&M, the teams like a Jackson State, the teams like a Bethune-Cookman, you know what they're going to say? These guys not as good as I think they are. If Central can beat them, we can beat them too. Winning brings confidence to a squad. And, Coach, you know this. So my thing is, these are building block games that for a team like Alabama State that's getting ready, as I like to say, this death march, that because they've been picked, they're the team. They're the number one team in the East. The team in the East has been the one that's represented in the Celebration Bowl the last 3 years. So once again, will you be able to handle the pressure? Is Andrew Body ready to step up and play a game that he needs to play? So I'm going to take Alabama State. I'm going to take them 24-21.
Wow. Well, the quarterback for North Carolina Central is a guy that does have a little more experience than we think, because he played behind the other one and they were blowing teams out. So he did get an opportunity to play a lot, more than we thought. But y'all understand that who's coaching North Carolina Central, don't we? A guy named Trey Oliver, who took Deion Sanders and destroyed the All-American team of Jackson State. He destroyed them, Coach. It wasn't even no contest really till the end. So when we talk about coaching, the edge goes to North Carolina Central. When we talk about great program, that goes to North Carolina Central. You got Coach Robinson in his third year of being a coach and got a lot of new things going. We got Andre Body, who can make a difference. He's the difference maker. I believe what you guys said about Body, he's the difference maker. And Body is no secret of taking over a game and putting a team on his back, because that might just be what he needs to do. They lost a lot of receivers at Alabama State. They got a great running game. They always had great defense. So that's going to be the tale of will Alabama State defense come back and slow North Carolina Central down? North Carolina Central is a solid program. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the two quarterbacks is going to make a difference. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday. So I got North Carolina edging, and I'm going to give them the edge because their staff is much more seasoned than Alabama State's is.
All right, Coach. All right. Anything you add before we move on, Steve?
Hey, I want to say one thing. Like Coach said, Alabama State, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. That's the time. So, again, what we saw, and this is what I like when we see a game. You saw Florida A&M staff, new offensive coordinator, new head coach, new quarterback, went into halftime, made adjustments, were able to score. Alabama State, if you're in that same position, if you get down 14, will you be able to make the adjustments? So I'll be watching that.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Oh, he on the phone. He talking to somebody.
Oh yeah, that was Johnny T. He was letting me know that he working on my stuff.
That's right, Johnny T. We call fans out too if you ain't doing what you're supposed to.
All right. Hey, so yeah, I just think I'm just looking forward to being a good game. Now let me ask you this here, Coach. I'll ask you this. Looks like there's a forecast for rain. Does that favor one team or the other?
But usually it favors a team that likes to run the football. You know what I mean? But body is the total package. He can run it and he can throw it. So that's what it usually is. But you got two teams that ain't even from that area that's going to be playing down there. So it's going to be a good football game. Coach Robinson is seasoned now, but Coach Oliver is a genius, you know, and he's a motivator. So I look forward to it being a good game, Coach. It's gonna be tough, but I just give North Carolina Central the edge.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this one, Coach. Eddie Robinson's been coaching for 3 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He beat Jackson State last year, if I remember correctly. I believe that was probably the signature win up to this point in his program. Do you agree, Steve?
100%. Because and he called it, and it was Jackson State's homecoming. Absolutely.
Would this
big in the book for homecoming?
Would this be a bigger win than beating Jackson State last year?
I would think so. You know, and he's also won the Magic City Classic because you could throw the records out there, and he's had his team ready for the Magic City Classic as well. So he's got some stripes. Don't get me wrong, but when you mess with the general, Coach, you got to come more than the stripes. You know, you can't say enough about Coach Oliver, man.
I agree. I believe Trey Oliver is the most talented coach in HBCU football. However, he's working with a quarterback with limited experience at a neutral site against what I consider, you know, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks to play in the SWAC in recent history. And so I think the edge I'll give the edge to Alabama State. But
hey,
go ahead.
Rock, I was going to make over in your chat. Mr. Jackson said Coach Oliver runs the same offense that Coach Odom runs. But hold on, let me put an asterisk by that. They might run the same offense, but Coach Oliver's teams execute that offense. So be clear on that. Just because you run the same offense doesn't mean you execute it the same way. There's a reason why Central has won championships. There's a reason why they have won 9 and 10 games. And there's a reason why Dawson Odom is still trying to figure it out. So I want to be clear on that. Run the same offense don't mean the same thing. All right,
yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah. And another thing too. I'll say this. Considering who is be calling the plays for Alabama State, and Trey Oliver was not sheepish about giving Coach Barnett compliments and said, "Hey, he's got me, and I've got him." You know what I mean? So I expect it to be a pretty good coaching matchup. For this reason, we know E-Rob is the CEO head coach. He's not calling plays on offense. He's not calling plays on defense. So it really would be a chess match between the offense coordinators, and even Trey Oliver admits Coach Barnett is a formidable opponent. So
let me you know, we talk truth to that because we don't want this kid to not get his. First of all, the kid's name is Walker Harris.
Harris, yep.
Will be the starting quarterback. 6'1", 195. He's a redshirt junior, so he's a very experienced guy. All right. He played 5 games in 21, 11 games in 22, and 12 games in 23. He's got 19 attempts on 28 games. He's thrown for 47 yards. I'm sorry. Let me go. He's rushed 19 times for 47 yards, 23 is his longest. He also, again, has 28 games played, 60 completions on 97 attempts. That's a high number. All right. He'll thrown for 68 yards, 681 yards, and 5 TDs.
This is all I say about that. And I ain't got a lot to say. This is about what that is. Did you just hear that?
We did not. We did not.
Hold on. Tell you.
He's completed 62% of his passes.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice?
He was in garbage time, coach. He did all that in garbage time.
Okay.
Does garbage time matter, coach? You a coach. I don't know. Does garbage time matter?
But he's been there. He's been there 3 years, coach. He's been sitting for 3 years. I know a guy that sit for bench for 3 years, coach, and he came in and he broke all the career records. I
don't want to hear about that guy. No, I know who that guy is too.
So
I know where he played. He played at Texas Southern. I know that's where he played.
So guys like him that sit, and when they get the opportunity, coach, they got a chip on their shoulder.
Just like
I
Junior.
talked with Coach.
Junior did at FAMU.
Yeah, I talked with Coach Oliver extensively on this kid, and Coach Oliver thinks that this kid is the next coming. So we'll see.
Oh yeah,
we'll see.
All right, we're gonna next up. We have the brawl at Bragg. Hey, coach say this. They didn't have a name for this game, and I think this game deserves a name, especially since the last time Florida A&M lost at home, they lost to those big, bad Bulldogs. So, with no further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Campbell lead this one.
Well, we've got a tale of two teams. I'll start with South Carolina State. Bringing in a quarterback that played for Chennisberry, 4 return offensive linemen, an all MEAC running back. That sounds a lot like Norfolk State. On the flip side, a lot of holes in the defense, defensive backs still trying to get it together, from my understanding. Linebacker core is going to be the weak part of that team. FAMU, always play the game. Kind of know what, and I heard what Coach Cozy said. We had players that we thought might be the starters, but now as the game progressed, now we got other guys that might be the stars. So that one game allows you to see what your players are going to be. Also, it allows FAMU to say, you know what? We know that they watched that tape against Norfolk State, and it's something that we're going to work on in practice. I think this is one of those games that FAMU comes out the box, wins this game 28-14, because I think South Carolina State first game, I think they're going to have trouble, and I think it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I think offensively they're going to move the ball a little bit because those 4 offensive linemen and with a seasoned quarterback. But I just think that FAMU's offense and just what we saw is going to really have an explosive day. So I go 28-14.
All right, you want me to go ahead and go, Coach Cole?
I whatever you want, Coach. You running the show. You got the ball.
I'll go ahead and go. I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
In this game, I'm gonna make it simple. You got the HBCU national champ that I put my eyes on that looks like they have reloaded at running back, at quarterback. And even though the defense gave up 220 yards, right, what I saw was a defense that was able to adjust and eventually cut Norfolk State's water off. Right, was able to cut their water off. What I see in South Carolina is a bunch of question marks. You know, I think Chennisberry is a good coach, a good motivator, but we don't know what they have at quarterback. We got a guy, I want to say his last name is Phoenix. We know Coach. We know he was able to be an impact player on Division II, but this is big time college football. This ain't Division II. And so with all those question marks going into the game, I got to take FAMU, and I'm going to take FAMU big. I'm going to take FAMU 31-10.
Well, let me say this. A team make its biggest jump from game 1 to game 2. Their conditioning, they're comfortable with what they're doing. And so South Carolina playing for the first time gives FAMU an advantage. FAMU will come in more so, got things together, know what to expect, in better game condition, speed, and all that. South Carolina State just got too much new. I know Florida A&M does too, but they've got to be. They had an opportunity to clean some stuff up, and find some players and players that they thought they could play. They're gonna be able to make some adjustments. I give FAMU the victory, but don't lay down on Chennisberry in the running game. They're gonna run the football. They're gonna try to run the football. And as Coach Hayes said it so delicately, we hopefully they get the ball back. So South Carolina State is gonna have to play ball control, keep FAMU's offense off the field, which they do have an opportunity at that, because South Carolina State gonna run the football, coach. And they gonna find those holes on Florida A&M if Florida A&M ain't ready. But I think because Cozy, I like his staff, they made a good adjustment. They never really panicked at the football game. I don't see it being a blowout. I see FAMU winning another close one.
Okay, Coach, this is what I'll say. There was a gentleman in here that picked South Carolina, and this is what I'll say. Both teams had a host of transfers that came in the program. And this is where I just fundamentally think South Carolina is at a disadvantage. South Carolina had a bunch of transfers that came up from the D2 level coming up to Division I AA. On the other hand, FAMU had a host of transfers that came from Power 5 and Group of 5. And when you consider all that, big dogs always win. And I'll let y'all make any comment. I also want to thank SWAC Fan 100 for his super chat, man. I want to thank you, man. I appreciate you donating to the cause, man. It's, like I say, the kind of content we bring, it does cost money. When you talk about the traveling and all that kind of stuff, man, and all these kind of contributions make it even more affordable and more possible for us to do that kind of stuff, man. If I had a private jet, I actually would fly into Tallahassee Saturday morning, watch FAMU play South Carolina, and then fly out and head to South Beach that night, have a night on South Beach, and then go to the game on the Orange Blossom Classic. But since I'm flying Spirit, I'll just be there I'll just be at the OBC. So just so y'all know.
Rocky, I want to say something real quick. This is what I love about this time of the year. And I'm going to say this, and this is going to be my Florida A&M hat. I heard all last year, every game we were going to lose, and we didn't. I always ask the people, tell me exactly why Florida A&M is going to lose. Now, I got people that I know do not know who's on South Carolina State's football team, other than the South Carolina State people. And we broke these teams down. We talked to the coach. Yep. We know the coach told us what he had to work on and what he felt where his strength was, which we talked about just a few minutes ago. This is what's funny to me. If you think that South Carolina State, and people say, well, you think that South Carolina State is better than Norfolk, they only won like one more game than Norfolk. So they got picked fourth, Norfolk got picked fifth. So fourth and fifth are basically the exact same team. So yeah, Norfolk could be better than South Carolina State this year. That's not a big leap, okay? people. So this is the thing that I think is really funny, that I like that this animus, which is, I love it. I love it every week because I saw the same thing. Musa wasn't any good and Musa was just winning games. Florida A&M was going to lose and he just kept winning games. I'm just telling you guys, we're not going to lose this game. I'm telling you this. This is a game. We're playing in Bragg. We have the talent. And I think if you are honest, you saw some coaching from Coach that I think a lot of you all weren't expecting from that staff. So now we'll move on. So I just wanted to put that out there. I had to put my Florida A&M hat on.
And I'm going to tell you, the graduate transfer said, we don't lose at Bragg.
You heard that has played 40-plus games.
All right, we can go through these pretty quick, man. I thought all these games were key matchups. I know there's a couple on here that may not be marquee matchups, but I thought they were noteworthy. We can we'll get a chance to see this live. I'll just go ahead and say I got ULM against Jackson State. Though I'll say this, I'm a Jackson State fan. I hope Jackson State wins, but I just don't have any confidence they can go to ULM and pull it off.
I'm going to go next, Coach. I'm from Jackson. Here is the thing that I'm going to say. Jackson State has never beat an FBS team. But with that being said, they never played a lot of FBS teams, to be honest with you, especially during their powerhouse years. This is the team. If they're going to beat an FBS team, this is the team. I know a lot of people at Jackson are going to come down. But the one thing that I'm nervous about, I looked at ULM. I looked at their coach. I looked at what the strength of their team is going to be. It's going to be their offensive line. You know the weakness of Jackson State's team last year? They gave up 150 yards rushing last year. They were 7th in the SWAC. So that makes me nervous. If Jackson State can maintain the line of scrimmage, I believe they got a shot. But Rocky, I'm like you. My heart says 21-17 Jackson State, but my football acumen says 24-20 ULM.
ULM.
All right. All right. This is one I thought was an interesting matchup. Mississippi Valley and Tennessee State. Now, of course, I'm going to take Tennessee State. But Tennessee State lost to Lane College last year.
Mississippi Valley won one game last year. That's the converse of that, though.
Tennessee State.
Tennessee State all the way. And I'll say this. Let's be clear. And I have friends at Tennessee State. My cousin is a professor at Tennessee State. Eddie George better not lose this game. Because I'll tell you this, Coach, if he loses this game, he won't be the coach next week.
All right.
I don't know. You know, they paying him that big old salary.
Coach, I'm telling you now, Coach, Coach, you coach at Tennessee State. One thing, that Big Blue Nation is a pride. And they have not been roared. They have given him a lot of latitude because, Coach, listen, we came up in that Big John Barry era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they believe in winning championships or have a winning season. I'm talking about not 7-win seasons. Tennessee State used to have 10-win seasons consistently, 9-win seasons. They have let Eddie George kind of percolate, but I'm telling you, they lose this game, that's going to be a problem.
Wow. I believe you. They can't lose, but they got a rough schedule. You know, they play in the what is that? The Big South. They came next to last year.
OBC.
Yeah. It ain't the OBC anymore.
OBC Big South.
Yeah, it's changed. But I see Tennessee State winning. I see it being a close game, though. I don't see them running away with it.
Hey, Brock, let me just address something. Thank you for the time to be meant. We know it's not last year, but we actually know what Florida A&M is. So you tell me what you know about South Carolina State that we don't know. Feel free to call in. Because you clearly must be on the coaching staff, because there's nothing you're going to be able to tell me about South Carolina State because you haven't seen them play. So I understand, because you're not making any sense. You saying it's not last year. You actually saw Florida A&M play. You haven't seen South Carolina State play. So I just want to address that. Let's go, Rocky. Southern and McNeese.
All right, Southern and McNeese. Now, McNeese played against my nephew's team, Charleston State, And from what I understand, they led most of the game, if I'm correct. And then Tulsa State came back and won the game. Now, McNeese is invested in some NIL guys. They actually got the quarterback from the team that played in the championship last year, FCS championship. I want to say his name is McDowell. I may be mispronouncing it, but I think that's his name.
Wow.
Can the Southern head, the first year Southern head coach, Terrence Graves, go down to McNeese and shock the world? I don't think so. I got McNeese.
I got, of course, McNeese has been on the downside the last couple of years, which they did have a good football program. Southern coming off of a second change. In the last 5 years, Southern's had, 3 head coaches? It's tough. It's tough trying to change that. You got new coaches coming in and going. You don't have a big-time quarterback coming back. I don't see them beat McNeese at McNeese.
Wow. So here's the thing. I heard Perry White, shout out to Outspoke yesterday, and I think he said that Southern had played 20 of these games of all the PWI school and had not won one in 20 years. I'm going to say that a lot of Southern people, for some reason, believe that they're going to be in the SWAC championship. I don't know why, but I'm going to say this again. You laughed at Florida A&M. We won our first game. Southern, you're about to lose your first game to McNeese. I don't believe Southern is going to win this game. I don't believe McNeese is any good, but I just don't think Southern has it. And but I will say, Southern, if this was a game, you better win this game because you know you're going to Jackson. I think in a couple of weeks right after that. So if you lose this game and then lose to Jackson, your season's already over. And I'm saying it right here first. And then your season's already over.
And then they have to show up in Prairie View on September 21st with 2 losses under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, this is what I like. It was all this FAMU barely won. Guess what? We won. Now you're on the clock. And I'm going to come back next Tuesday with receipts. And all you jokers from Jackson State, Southern, and Alabama State, you better win. I swear to God, you better win. Because if you lose, what does that say about your team? Just want to put it out there. You better win. JSU, I want you to win 100% because I need y'all to be right when we come to Jackson. But Southern, I ain't got no love for you. So I'm seeing McNeese is going to get
you. And Zach, which is also Blue Bloods, he said McNeese didn't win a single game last year.
They didn't.
The only win was a forfeit against Northwestern. That's horrible.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, at this point, people have no faith in Southern. People outside of Southern have no faith in Southern.
I just don't. And that's the thing. I don't believe. And like I said, we'll see. Again, if Southern wins this game, let's say this, as a SWAC HBC fan, I want Southern to win this game because to Blue's point, these are games that the SWAC has to win. They have to win these games just for conference perception. But I just don't believe. I believe Jack State, once again, is playing upper level, still playing below average. I think they were 130 out of 134, something like that, ULM team. I think Jack State just has the team equipped to go win that game. Southern, I'm just not sold. We'll see. Like I said, I will be watching. But like I say, to his point, hopefully Southern gets this win. If they don't, their season is going to start off ugly.
And this is the thing that kind of makes me wonder. I mean, this is going back in history. But didn't Hugh Jackson have a win against one of those Southland Conference teams while he was the head coach?
Right.
I think so. I know Alcorn beat him. And I want to. Yeah, I know Alcorn beat him.
No, I'm saying, what game were you talking about, Rocky?
I was trying to. It triggered my thoughts that Southern had won one of those games in 20 years.
Oh, with McNeese.
And then I thought, like, who does beat them? But then I thought about. I remember Fred beat them last year, but but I also remember. I thought I remember Hugh Jackson, because that same season that he got fired early in the season, we thought he might have had something, and I think he beat somebody. Hold on, let me see.
Well, that was Blue
No,
said it was Northwestern State. Northwestern State.
Yeah. So
And let me make there was a question that said, how does it make sense? I'm making the same point. Because the reason why I know what Southern's team is, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not sold on Noah Biden. I'm not sold on him as a quarterback. I'm not sold on Southern skill players this year. I'm not sold on them. So that's just me. I'm not, and I'm not being funny. I'm not sold on Coach Graves. And no disrespect to Coach Graves, I think that McNeese would, I just think this is one of those games that Southern, I don't believe they're going to win it. I just don't believe. I'm not sold on Southern's team. I don't think people think Southern's going to have 7, 8 wins. I don't see it.
I got you.
All right, and last but not least, we got Morgan State and Hampton. I got Morgan State on this one. I just believe in Coach Damon Wilson, to be honest with
I think he's a great coach. Going up against Hampton would put some things together, of course, because they are in a different league. I like Morgan State. I like that. I like it close. 17-10, 10-3.
Okay.
I'm taking Morgan State. I think Morgan State is going to try. This is their year. They're going to try to make a run to the Celebration Bowl. Once again, this is an out-of-conference game. But once again, these are old MEAC rivals. So these are teams that know each other. Once again, a lot of fans know each other. They're all in that DMV area and things like that down in Hampton. Again, Labor Day weekend, I don't know what the crowd is going to be like. It's going to be beautiful weather up there, but I'm taking Morgan State.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. This has been a tremendous show, man. We went a little long, man, but it was just a real treat having Coach Hayes, Coach Bill Hayes on the show, man. He dropped so many gems on us. I'm just fortunate to be part of this. I would like to thank you, Coach Cole, for using your connections to make the content that we create fascinating, riveting, and interesting. And so that's my last words. Campbell, you got anything? And then Coach could take us out.
I'm just telling you, to all you Southern people, I am right here for you to hate me. I have no problem. I am right here for you to hate me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick against you every week just because you're Southern. How about that? So no, I don't need to know anything about Southern. I'm just going to pick against you. How about that? That's what we do at HBCU land.
Boy, you crazy, boy. You're crazy.
Go ahead, Coach. It's on you. Take us out.
Well, guys, it's we coming down. We got to continue to vote. We've had a great weekend. I've had a interesting weekend because, as you know, now that I lost my oldest brother, and the strange thing about it, a lot of things came out at the funeral. And my brother was what you call a hero to all of us. He had 8 brothers, 8 of us. But he also was married as well. And that was always a struggle to a point that we wasn't giving in and she wasn't giving in. So a lot of years went by that it all came to a head after his passing because we all wanted a part of him, And for the first time in my life, I thought about, man, my brother was married. And the things that I thought about her and man, it really came out. And so I was able to apologize to her of wanting to be with my brother because he was everything to me and all my other brothers. Think about my brother. He set the bar high for us, meaning the example that he set for us wasn't seeing him be a tough guy in the streets. He was a tough guy on the football field. He was a guy that was intelligent in school. He was a guy that respect others and respect adults. So that's what we seen And for 8 of us to come behind that, never been to jail, never been hooked on no drugs, always been respected in the community, was incredible. For years and years, you've seen 9 kids, 9 boys, 9 men grow up and loved each other. I mean, even today, we got a group chat that we actually, every morning, I know I'm going to get a good morning. We're going to text each other. And so we cherished that, and we grew up that, and we took pride in loving one another, no matter what problems we had. At the end of the day, we love one another. So what I'm saying is, guys, sometimes we think that we're supposed to be somewhere else, but really you're supposed to be right where you are. I can remember the time when I did lose my dream job at Texas Southern University. It was one of the lowest of my life. And I never thought that I would be where I am today. And so I had all these ideas of how I was going to get back to coaching and get back to the SWAC. And I even at one time thought that I was going to get back to the SWAC as a referee. And lo and behold, I get a call from HBCU Go, and now I've become an analyst. And not only I'm going to be on the sideline, I'm going to be up in the box actually calling the game. So life throws its curves, man. But one thing I kept in mind is what my brother told me. He said, if just not getting up in the morning, having a roof over your head, a job to go to or a car to have, and somebody to love you, if that ain't enough, guys, something's wrong with you. When you look at these millionaires, they got problems. When you look at poor people, they got problems. Wherever there's people, whether they're rich or poor, they got the same problem. So as I always say, if you feel yourself at the end of the road, tie a knot and hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.